In the bustling city of New Haven, amidst towering skyscrapers and luxury cars, lived a young millionaire named Alex Thompson. At just 30 years old, he was the epitome of success, having inherited a vast fortune from his late father, a prominent businessman known for his ruthless ambition. Alex, with his designer suits and flashy lifestyle, relished in the privileges his wealth afforded him. He often flaunted his riches, believing that money equated to superiority. To him, the world was a game, and he was the king, ruling from his penthouse overlooking the city. But beneath the surface of his suave exterior lay a deep-seated arrogance. Alex had little regard for those he deemed beneath him, often mocking and belittling anyone who didn't share his lifestyle. He frequented exclusive clubs, attended high-profile parties, and surrounded himself with sycophants who reinforced his belief that he was untouchable. The wealth had not just given him power, it had also distanced him from any semblance of empathy or understanding of the struggles faced by the less fortunate. On the other side of the city, in stark contrast to Alex's luxurious life, was an old man named Samuel. Samuel was a homeless man, worn down by the harsh realities of life on the streets. His beard was long and unkempt, and his clothes were tattered and stained. Yet, there was something dignified about him, a glimmer of wisdom in his tired eyes. He had become a fixture in the local park, where he spent his days sitting on a bench, watching the world go by. Children played, joggers passed, and couples strolled hand in hand, oblivious to the struggles of those like Samuel. Once a successful entrepreneur, Samuel had known wealth and comfort in his younger days. He had built a thriving business from the ground up, employing many in his community. However, a series of unfortunate events, failed investments, a devastating illness, and the loss of loved ones, had led him to the streets. Despite his circumstances, Samuel had retained a sense of hope and resilience. He often shared stories with those willing to listen, imparting lessons learned from both success and failure, reminding them that life's value extended beyond material wealth. The day their paths crossed began like any other. Alex, in his sleek black sports car, zoomed through the city streets, his mind occupied with thoughts of the next big deal. He was on his way to a high-stakes meeting when he decided to take a brief detour through the park, seeking a moment of distraction from his relentless ambition. As he parked and stepped out, the vibrant sounds of laughter and joy filled the air, contrasting sharply with the emptiness he often felt inside. Spotting Samuel on the bench, Alex felt a surge of superiority. In his mind, the old man was just another example of someone who had failed at life. Driven by arrogance, Alex approached, a smirk playing on his lips. "Hey there, old man. Enjoying your luxurious lifestyle," he jeered, loud enough for nearby passers-by to hear. The words dripped with condescension, and a few onlookers chuckled at the millionaire's expense. Samuel looked up, unfazed by the mockery. He had encountered countless people like Alex in his life, those who judged based solely on appearances. Instead of responding with anger, he simply smiled and replied, "Life isn't measured by what you have, but by what you give." Alex, taken aback by the old man's calm demeanor, felt a flicker of annoyance. Who did this beggar think he was, trying to impart wisdom? To him, Samuel was just a relic of failure, and he was determined to make that point clear. As he turned to leave, he dismissed the old man with a wave of his hand, thinking little of the encounter, but the words lingered in the air, a foreshadowing of the revelations yet to come. With their lives so different, neither man realized that this brief moment was just the beginning of a much larger story, one that would challenge their perceptions and ultimately change their lives forever. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the park as the day unfolded. Alex's mind was still buzzing from his earlier encounter with Samuel, the old man who had dared to challenge his worldview with a simple phrase. As he drove towards his meeting, he couldn't shake off the odd feeling that something about the old man had struck a chord deep within him. Arriving at the upscale office building where his meeting was scheduled, Alex parked his car and made his way inside, shaking off the remnants of the strange interaction. The luxurious lobby was adorned with marble floors and elegant decor, a far cry from the bench in the park where Samuel sat. As he entered the conference room, he was met by his business partners, all eager to discuss their latest investment opportunity. The conversation flowed naturally, filled with laughter and banter that reinforced Alex's belief in his superior status. However, as the meeting progressed, Alex found his thoughts drifting back to Samuel. Who was he really? What had led him to that bench? There was a depth in the old man's eyes that seemed to whisper of stories untold and lessons learned. But Alex quickly dismissed the thoughts, pushing them to the back of his mind. He had no time for distractions, there were deals to close, fortunes to make. After a few hours of intense discussions and strategic planning, the meeting concluded successfully. As his partners congratulated each other, Alex felt a sense of satisfaction wash over him. Yet, an unfamiliar feeling tugged at him, an itch of curiosity about Samuel that he couldn't quite shake off. Deciding to take a different route home, he found himself driving back to the park. The streets bustled with activity, but Alex was focused, determined to seek out the old man once more. He parked and walked towards the familiar bench, his heart racing with anticipation and something akin to guilt. Was he really going to confront Samuel again? As he approached, he noticed that the park was filled with people enjoying the day. Children were laughing, couples were picnicking, and joggers were weaving through the paths. But there, on the bench, sat Samuel, looking just as he had before, worn but dignified, eyes scanning the park with a serene expression. Back for more? Samuel quipped as Alex approached. The old man's tone was light, but there was an underlying seriousness that caught Alex off guard. I just wanted to talk, Alex said, his bravado faltering for a moment. I didn't mean to be rude earlier. It's just. I see people like you every day, and I never really think about what their lives are like. Samuel nodded, his expression softening. Most don't. But we all have stories. We all have our battles. Alex took a seat beside him, feeling an unexpected urge to listen. The air was thick with unspoken words, and for the first time, he felt a twinge of vulnerability. What happened to you? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Samuel paused, looking out at the children playing in the distance. Life happened. I made choices that led me here. But I've learned that losing everything doesn't mean you lose yourself. The old man's words resonated with Alex, who had spent so long measuring his worth in numbers and assets. But how do you cope? How do you find hope? With a gentle smile, Samuel replied, hope is found in connection. In understanding. You see, wealth can blind you to what truly matters. As they conversed, Alex felt the walls he had built around himself begin to crumble. There was something refreshing about Samuel's perspective, a stark contrast to the cutthroat environment of his business world. For the first time, he was confronted with the reality of a life lived without the comforts he took for granted. The encounter lingered in the air, a turning point in Alex's life. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, he realized that he was not just talking to a beggar, he was sharing a moment with a man who held profound wisdom. Little did Alex know that this encounter would lead him down a path of self-discovery and transformation, challenging everything he believed about success, wealth, and human connection. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the conversation between Alex and Samuel deepened, transcending the boundaries set by their disparate lives. For Samuel, the presence of the young millionaire was unexpected, yet it stirred a flicker of hope within him. He had spent years sharing his story with those who would listen, but very few took the time to truly engage. Alex was different, there was a spark of curiosity in his eyes, a willingness to learn that Samuel hadn't seen in a long time. Why do you care? Samuel asked suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. His voice was steady, but there was an edge of caution. After all, he had encountered many people who only wanted to gawk at him or belittle his situation. Alex paused, taken aback by the question. I don't know, he admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. I guess, you just had something about you. I've always looked at people like you as failures, but now I'm starting to see there's more to the story. Samuel nodded, his eyes twinkling with understanding. Most people see what they want to see. They judge based on appearances and forget that we're all human. You, me, we all have our struggles. Yours might be different, but they're struggles nonetheless. The old man's words struck a chord with Alex. He had spent years in the relentless pursuit of success, allowing himself to become consumed by ambition and the desire for approval. Yet, here was Samuel, someone who had lost everything, reminding him that true worth wasn't measured by the size of one's bank account but by the richness of one's character and connections. What did you do before all this? Alex asked, genuinely curious. I was a businessman, Samuel replied, his voice tinged with a hint of nostalgia. I built a company from the ground up. I employed people, created jobs, and thought I was on top of the world. But life has a way of humbling you. I lost everything in a matter of months, my business, my family, and eventually, my home. Alex listened intently, captivated by the old man's story. He had always assumed that success came easily to those who had it. He had never considered the fragility of it all. What happened? How did you end up here? He probed, his curiosity piqued. Samuel took a deep breath, his gaze drifting to the park around them. I made some bad choices, trusted the wrong people, and when the bottom fell out, I didn't know how to pick myself back up. I thought I could handle it alone, but I was wrong. The shame of failure kept me from reaching out for help. Alex could feel a sense of empathy washing over him. The old man's vulnerability resonated with his own fears of failure, of being judged, of losing everything he had worked for. I can't imagine what that must have felt like, he said quietly. It was hard, but I learned something important, Samuel replied, his voice steady. I learned that even in the darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of hope. I found solace in the stories of others, in helping those around me who were also struggling. Sometimes, you have to lose everything to truly understand what matters. As Samuel spoke, Alex felt his perspective shifting. He had spent so long focusing on wealth, power, and status that he had neglected the very essence of life, connection, compassion, and understanding. The conversation with Samuel was opening his eyes to a world beyond the confines of his privileged bubble. I want to understand more, Alex said, his voice filled with determination. I want to hear your stories and learn from you. I've been so focused on myself that I've forgotten how to be a part of something bigger. Samuel smiled, a glimmer of hope lighting up his weary eyes. That's a good start, my friend. It's never too late to change. The journey to understanding begins with a single step. In that moment, beneath the fading light of the day, an unlikely bond began to form between the millionaire and the mendicant. They were two souls from different walks of life, brought together by circumstance and a shared desire for connection. Little did they know that this encounter would be the catalyst for profound change, not just for Alex, but for Samuel as well. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the park, Samuel's expression grew far away, as if he were peering into a distant memory. Alex noticed the change in the old man's demeanor, a flicker of nostalgia crossing his face. Curiosity piqued, he leaned in, eager to hear more about the life Samuel had once lived before becoming a fixture in the park. Tell me about your past, Alex urged gently, sensing the weight of the stories that lay beneath the surface. What was it like before everything changed? Samuel took a deep breath, his eyes glistening with unshed memories. I was once a man of ambition, much like you, he began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. I started my own business in my 20s. It was a small tech company, but I poured my heart and soul into it. I worked day and night, often sacrificing my personal life for the sake of success. As he spoke, images began to form in Alex's mind, pictures of a younger Samuel, filled with hope and dreams, standing in a bright office filled with the buzz of creativity. I remember the thrill of watching my company grow. We developed innovative products that changed the market. I was respected, admired. I thought I had it all. Samuel's expression shifted as he continued, I hired people who believed in my vision, and together, we created a family within those office walls. We celebrated victories, but we also faced setbacks. I learned that business is a roller coaster, there are highs and lows, but I always believed that hard work would lead to success. Alex was captivated, imagining the camaraderie that must have flourished in Samuel's once thriving company. What happened? He asked, genuinely wanting to understand how such a promising life could unravel so drastically. Samuel's gaze turned somber, and he sighed heavily. With success came hubris. I became overconfident, thinking I could control everything. I made risky investments that seemed promising at the time but ultimately failed. I trusted the wrong people, partners who were more interested in their gain than the company's future. I ignored the warnings, believing everything would work out. He paused, swallowing hard as painful memories resurfaced. When the collapse came, it was swift and brutal. I lost everything, my company, my savings, and eventually, the respect of those who had once looked up to me. The worst part was losing my family. They couldn't bear to watch me spiral down. They thought I was too far gone. Alex listened intently, feeling a knot form in his stomach. The story was a stark reminder of the fragility of success and the consequences of unchecked ambition. Did you ever try to rebuild? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I did, Samuel replied, his tone heavy with regret. But the shame of failure weighed me down. I became too proud to ask for help and too afraid to try again. I thought I could handle it alone, but that only led me to the streets. The vulnerability in Samuel's voice resonated deeply with Alex. He realized how close he was to repeating the same mistakes, so consumed by competition and ambition that he might lose sight of what truly mattered. What did you learn from all this? Alex asked, intrigued by the wisdom Samuel had gained through his experiences. Life is unpredictable, Samuel said, his voice firm yet gentle. True strength lies not in wealth or power, but in humility and the willingness to learn from your mistakes. I had to learn to let go of my pride and accept that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be vulnerable. As the last rays of sunlight faded into twilight, Alex felt a profound shift within himself. Samuel's story was a mirror reflecting his own life, a reminder that success was not just about climbing higher but also about understanding the journey and those who traveled alongside him. In that moment, surrounded by the quiet of the park and the shared stories of their lives, Alex began to grasp the deeper meaning of success. It was not just about wealth or status, it was about connection, resilience, and the ability to rise again after falling. Little did he know that this revelation would set the stage for the transformation he never knew he needed. The evening air grew cooler as the stars began to twinkle above the park, casting a serene glow over the two men seated on the bench. The conversation had transformed from mere words into a profound exchange that challenged everything Alex had ever thought about success, failure, and the value of human connection. Samuel's story had unearthed something deep within him, a realization that he could no longer ignore. Feeling a surge of determination, Alex leaned forward, his heart racing. I want to change, he declared, the sincerity in his voice undeniable. I want to make a difference, not just in my life, but in the lives of others. I've spent too long wrapped up in my own world, forgetting about the people around me. Samuel looked at him, a mixture of surprise and pride flickering in his eyes. Change takes courage, my friend. It's easy to stay comfortable in your bubble, but true growth happens when you step outside of it. Then I want to step outside, Alex replied, his voice firm. I've been given so much, and I want to use it to help others. I want to understand the struggles people face and find a way to make a positive impact. The old man's expression softened as he nodded slowly. That's a noble goal, Alex. But remember, it's not just about the money or resources you can provide. It's about listening, understanding, and connecting with people on a human level. You have to be willing to learn from them as well. Alex absorbed Samuel's words, realizing that his journey toward change would require more than just financial contributions. It would necessitate humility, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand the lives of those he had once overlooked. I want to hear your stories, he said earnestly. I want to learn from you, and if you're willing, I'd like to help you too. Samuel's eyes widened with a mix of astonishment and hope. You'd really want to help me? Of course, Alex replied, a smile breaking across his face. You've shared so much with me tonight, it's only fair that I give something back. You deserve to be heard, and I want to make sure your story reaches others who might be in similar situations. As the weight of his words sank in, Alex felt a sense of purpose blossoming within him. This was the turning point he had long been searching for, the moment when he could shift from being a passive observer of life to an active participant in creating change. He realized that he needed to embrace vulnerability, to step into the unknown, and to allow himself to be changed by others. That's the spirit, Samuel encouraged, his voice filled with warmth. But remember, it won't be easy. There will be challenges, and you might face resistance. People often fear change, even when it's for the better. But if you remain steadfast in your commitment, you can inspire others. Alex nodded, feeling a swell of determination. I'm ready for it. I want to use my resources to create opportunities for those in need, to support local programs, and to help people like you find their footing again. Samuel's heart swelled with emotion as he listened to the young man before him. It was rare to see someone with such privilege willing to extend a hand to those who had fallen. You have a good heart, Alex. Just promise me this, never lose sight of where you came from. Stay grounded, and always be willing to listen. I promise, Alex vowed, a newfound sense of clarity washing over him. I'll remember this moment and the lessons I've learned from you. I want to honor the journey you've been on, and I'll do everything I can to help others find their way back, just as you've shown me. As the night deepened around them, the bond between Alex and Samuel solidified. What had begun as a chance encounter had transformed into a partnership forged in understanding and compassion. They had exchanged more than just stories, they had begun to weave a tapestry of hope, one that would extend far beyond the park bench where it all started. In that moment, both men felt the weight of their pasts lift slightly, replaced by the promise of a brighter future, one in which they would learn from each other, grow together, and inspire change in their community. In the days following their profound encounter, Alex found himself consumed by the commitment he had made to Samuel. He began to reflect on his life choices, re-evaluating his priorities and the way he interacted with the world around him. Every day, he visited Samuel in the park, and they would spend hours discussing various topics ranging from personal stories to broader societal issues. Samuel shared invaluable insights, and Alex listened intently, eager to learn and grow. One afternoon, as they sat beneath the sprawling branches of an old oak tree, Alex decided to delve deeper into Samuel's past. What was your company like? He asked, genuinely curious. What did you create that made you so proud? Samuel's eyes lit up with passion as he recalled the early days of his business. We developed software that helped small businesses manage their operations more effectively. It was fulfilling to see how our products made a difference in people's lives. We were a family, and every success felt like a shared victory. As Samuel spoke, something stirred within Alex. He had always been immersed in the world of finance and investments, but hearing about the meaningful impact of Samuel's work opened his eyes to the possibilities of entrepreneurship beyond mere profit. It sparked an idea in his mind: could he create something that not only generated wealth but also provided opportunities for those in need? Driven by inspiration, Alex decided to investigate further. He began researching local charities and community programs, eager to understand the specific needs of those around him. The more he learned, the more he realized the potential for positive change. He discovered that many individuals in his community were struggling to find jobs, receive adequate training, or access resources that could help them build better lives. One evening, after a long day of research, Alex returned to the park, excitement bubbling inside him. Samuel, he called out, spotting the old man on their usual bench. I think I have an idea. Samuel looked up, intrigued. What's on your mind? I want to start a program that helps people like you, those who have fallen on hard times but have the potential to rise again. We could offer job training, mentorship, and resources to help them get back on their feet, Alex explained, his words tumbling out in a rush. Samuel's expression shifted from curiosity to cautious optimism. "That sounds like a wonderful idea, but do you really think it will work? It takes more than just a program to change lives." "I know," Alex replied, his determination unwavering. "But I believe in the power of connection, and I've seen how much I've learned from you. If we can provide guidance and support, I think we can make a difference." Samuel nodded slowly, contemplating the proposal. "It's a noble ambition, Alex. But remember, it's not just about providing resources, it's about building trust and relationships. People need to feel valued and understood." "I understand," Alex assured him. "I want to partner with local organizations, enlist volunteers, and create a community where people can support one another. I want to make sure it's sustainable and truly beneficial." As they discussed the logistics, Alex felt an electrifying sense of purpose. He could see a vision forming, a program that could offer real hope and tangible change. The prospect of it all filled him with energy, and he was eager to get started. That night, Alex spent hours drafting a plan, outlining the program's mission, goals, and potential partnerships. He reached out to local nonprofits and community leaders, seeking their insights and advice. Each conversation fueled his passion further, and soon, he had a small team of like-minded individuals who shared his vision for change. Meanwhile, Samuel watched with a mix of pride and caution. He could see the fire in Alex's eyes and was heartened by the young man's commitment to making a difference. But he also knew the challenges ahead would be formidable. "Just remember, Alex," Samuel advised, "this journey will test you in ways you can't imagine. Stay grounded and keep listening to the people you're trying to help." "I will," Alex promised, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "I want to do this right." As the weeks went by, the program began to take shape. Alex and his team organized workshops, mentorship sessions, and community events designed to not only provide skills but also foster connections among participants. They worked tirelessly, fueled by the knowledge that they were creating something meaningful. But as excitement grew, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Samuel's story, something that remained unspoken. He sensed that the old man had a deeper connection to his past, one that might hold the key to understanding the full scope of his journey. With each passing day, Alex felt more resolute in his mission, knowing that Samuel's wisdom would guide him as they ventured into the unknown together. The path ahead was still uncertain, but he was prepared to face it head-on, armed with the lessons learned from the man who had once been a stranger but was now a mentor, a friend, and an integral part of this transformative journey. As the program began to take off, the energy in the air was palpable. Alex felt a sense of fulfillment as he watched individuals from various backgrounds come together, sharing their experiences and learning from one another. The workshops were filled with laughter, hope, and the promise of new beginnings. Samuel became a cornerstone of the initiative, sharing his wisdom and life lessons with those seeking guidance. However, as Alex immersed himself in the workings of the program, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was still a part of Samuel's story that needed to be uncovered. He sensed that the old man carried a burden from his past, one that might provide deeper insight into his character and resilience. One evening, after a particularly successful workshop, Alex sat down with Samuel on their usual bench in the park. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow that illuminated Samuel's weathered face. "Samuel," Alex began, his voice steady yet gentle, "I've been thinking a lot about your past. You've told me about your business and how you lost everything, but I can't help but feel there's more to your story. Something that shaped who you are today." Samuel looked at Alex, a flicker of hesitation crossing his face. He took a deep breath, as if contemplating whether to share the deeper truth. "You're right, Alex. There is more. I've carried this burden for years, and it's time I let it go." With a nod of encouragement, Alex urged him to continue. "You can trust me. Whatever it is, I'm here to listen." Samuel's eyes filled with emotion as he began to recount the events that had led to his downfall. "When my business was thriving, I became consumed by ambition and pride. I pushed my family away, convinced that my success would be enough. I thought they would always be there, waiting for me to return. But when I lost everything, I realized how wrong I had been. He paused, the weight of his words hanging in the air. My wife, she stood by me through thick and thin. She believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. But when the business collapsed, I was too ashamed to face her. I pushed her away, thinking she deserved someone better, someone who could provide for her. I never got the chance to apologize or make amends before she passed away. Alex's heart ached at the depth of Samuel's pain. I'm so sorry, he whispered, feeling the gravity of the old man's loss. That must have been incredibly hard. It was, Samuel continued, his voice thick with emotion. I've lived with that regret every day since. I lost not only my business but also the most important person in my life. I've spent years trying to reconcile my choices and understand the true meaning of success. As Samuel spoke, Alex felt a profound sense of empathy wash over him. He realized that Samuel's journey was not just one of loss but of resilience, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. You've shown incredible strength in sharing this, Alex said softly. Your story is a reminder that we must cherish those we love and never take them for granted. It's a lesson I needed to hear. Samuel nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. And that's why I've chosen to help others. I want to prevent anyone from making the same mistakes I did. I want to be a source of support for those who need it, to remind them of what truly matters. In that moment, the bond between them deepened, transcending the barriers of wealth and status. Alex realized that the program they were building together was not just about providing resources, it was about fostering relationships, understanding, and healing. They were creating a community rooted in compassion, where people could find solace in shared experiences. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the park, Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose. Samuel's story had illuminated the path ahead, reminding him that true success was not measured in dollars but in the connections forged and the lives touched. I promise to honor your story, Samuel, Alex declared, determination radiating from him. Together, we will create a legacy that celebrates resilience, compassion, and the power of human connection. Samuel smiled, a glimmer of hope shining in his eyes. That's all I could ever ask for, my friend. Let's continue this journey together, one step at a time. With that, the two men sat in companionable silence, united by their shared mission and the promise of a brighter future for those they sought to help. As the weeks turned into months, the program that Alex and Samuel had envisioned began to flourish, becoming a beacon of hope for the community. Word spread quickly about the workshops, mentorship opportunities, and the supportive environment they had created. People from all walks of life came seeking guidance, eager to learn and share their stories. Each session was filled with energy and enthusiasm as participants engaged in skill-building exercises, shared their experiences, and formed connections that transcended their individual struggles. Alex and Samuel worked tirelessly, dedicating their time to ensure that everyone felt welcomed and valued. The transformation in the participants was palpable, they began to embrace their potential, gaining confidence and a renewed sense of purpose. One day, Alex organized a community event to celebrate the progress made by the program. He wanted to showcase the stories of those who had benefited from the initiative, highlighting their journeys and the impact it had on their lives. Samuel was instrumental in preparing the participants, encouraging them to share their experiences, no matter how daunting it felt. On the day of the event, the park was filled with laughter and excitement. Families gathered, children played, and the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Participants took turns sharing their stories on a makeshift stage, revealing the challenges they had faced and the victories they had achieved through the program. As Alex listened, he felt a swell of pride. Each story was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of community. One woman spoke about how she had overcome her struggles with unemployment, crediting the program for helping her regain her confidence and find a job. A young man shared how he had discovered a passion for coding through the workshops and was now pursuing a career in technology. Samuel stood beside Alex, tears glistening in his eyes as he listened to the stories unfold. "This is what it's all about," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Seeing the change you've inspired in these people is truly incredible." As the event continued, Alex realized that the program had become more than just a series of workshops. It was a movement, a collective effort to uplift and empower those who had felt invisible for far too long. The connections formed within the community were transforming lives and creating a ripple effect of positivity. After the speeches, the attendees mingled, sharing laughter and exchanging contact information. Alex and Samuel moved through the crowd, engaging with participants and celebrating their achievements. However, amidst the joy, Alex noticed a familiar face lingering at the edge of the gathering, a young woman who had been a regular attendee of the program but had always been shy and reserved. "Hey there!" Alex called out, approaching her with a warm smile. "Why aren't you joining in on the fun?" She looked up, a hint of hesitation in her eyes. I just don't know if I'm ready to share my story," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex knelt down to her level, offering reassurance. "You don't have to if you don't want to. But remember, your story matters. It could inspire someone else who's going through a similar struggle. And look around, everyone here is rooting for you." Taking a deep breath, the young woman nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Okay. I'll try." As she stepped onto the stage and began to speak, Alex felt a sense of awe wash over him. The bravery it took for her to share her journey was inspiring, and as she spoke, the crowd listened intently, offering support and encouragement. When she finished, the applause that erupted was thunderous, and Alex could see the joy and relief on her face. She had found her voice. Later that evening, as the event wound down, Alex and Samuel stood together, reflecting on the day's success. "I can't believe how far we've come," Alex said, a grin spreading across his face. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Samuel nodded, a proud smile on his lips. "Absolutely. The impact we're making is only going to grow. But remember, it's essential to keep listening and learning from those we're trying to help. Their voices matter just as much as ours." Alex agreed, understanding that the journey didn't end here. There were still countless individuals who needed support and guidance, and he was committed to continuing the work they had started together. As they walked through the park, the stars twinkling above, Alex felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had embarked on this journey seeking to make a difference, but in the process, he had discovered so much more: friendship, purpose, and a deeper understanding of what it truly meant to be successful. In that moment, surrounded by the laughter and joy of their community, Alex realized that change was not just about transforming others, it was also about transforming oneself. And together with Samuel, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that they had the power to create a lasting impact, one life at a time.